Welcome to Everyone's Doing Better Than Me, the podcast where we are insecure and get other people on so we can blame them for it. I'm your one of your hosts, Eve Ellenbogen, and I'm here with my co-host and Capricorn friend,
Katharyn Henson. And I gotta say that was the most honest intro you've ever said. It shook me. I was shook. I was like, too honest this time.
We talked about this. I moved last night. Yesterday.
Is this who hurt you? Is this who hurt you?
Okay, stop. All right, listen. Don't control me. Well, that literally is my thing for today. That's our guest right there. That's our guest reading me better than I know myself, basically. Brad Walsh, who is already embarrassing me. So, but first, Katharyn, who hurt you?
Oh man, I can't. I think I would say it was me, but it's not. It's Mark. Mark hurt me. Mark, my betrothed. And it's not. It's not his fault. We've been on top of each other for a year
it's not his fault. Well, that's not his fault. That's a good witness. He hurt me, but he did not mean it.
I know. I feel like I'm talking to the police right now.
He's never like this. He's very stressed out.
I fell. Okay. Yeah. No, but we've been on top of each other, not in a sexy way, for a year and a half, and in one bedroom in different parts of the world. And we're in our own apartment now, but he's sick of me, but he's just learning how to say it, right.
That's so sweat. That's a man thing. I don't know how to tell you I'm sick of you. So
I know.
All the other things.
Chart, which one do you feel? He does this manual labor during the day, which clearly I don't understand. I'm like,
no.
You plant flowers, but it's like hauling rocks, and
right.
He gets home and I'm like on the phone with you actually. And I text him. I'm like, do you want chocolate chip pancakes for dinner? Also, will you help me move a filing cabinet? So it's like, I'm like a child. And instead of saying I've spent the last 7 hours hauling rocks in the rain. No, thank you. Get away from me. He says, okay. But then it turns into a passive aggressive situation later when he didn't want to move the rocks. And then I'm hurt. And then, we found a therapist. I'm kidding. We didn't. We kind of but
well, sometimes I worry about my relationship with Mark, who I really don't know. I met him once apparently at a gig
in Australia,
and then in Scotland. And but I don't
remember.
I don't remember him. He remembers me.
Too.
Sorry. But I'm just like he's gonna if I meet him one day, he'll be like, "You're the reason that she communicates so much." Because I'm like, why don't you just tell Mark how you feel? When he comes in and he's bleeding from his ear, and you're just like, Mark, I have feelings. I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
And Eve said I should meditate, and that's something, Brad, that has been a big process for Katharyn. Basically, I've made her join a cult, and you
actually suggested the Wim Hof, but I'll give you meditation too if you need it. That's fine. And
whatever. Yeah.
Have you heard of the process?
No.
Oh, I have. That's a cult, right?
She has.
Oh, of course.
Well, I'm not in it. I just have heard of it.
I just follow other rules.
I like to
recruit other people.
Did you just say my hair looks like I'm in a cult? Is that what you just fucking said to me? This is my power. This is my.
You? I'm not here right now. No, but it's true. It's true. He'll come home and I'm like, can I show you the rugs I found for free? Which one do you think should go where? And he could care less. He doesn't even know that we have rugs.
I'm sure.
I try to force it on him because he's the only person I've been able to really talk to in person for since March 2020. So it's this weird thing where it's I'm having to be understanding, but also be you need to communicate. I can give you what you need, but you need to learn how to unbury it from your Irish soul and tell me what it is. So, yeah.
The funny thing is that you said that to me a week ago. We had our only ever fight. Argument. And I didn't respond to some text. And then in the end, she was like, I can give you space. I just need you to tell me. And I'm like, I hate this, but fine. It was it was.
There's a meme out there that's it says, I need space in quotes. And then it's this, big voluptuous black lady. And she's like, I can give you space, but she's wearing spandex covered in space. And so it's just her big, beautiful ass. Yeah. So that's, that reminds me of this and you. Who hurt you?
Well, right now it's a toss-up between myself for agreeing to do a podcast the morning after I moved and the Wi-Fi, which is like really upsetting me. Like as somebody who like always needs to be heard, like there's nothing worse than like being on unstable Wi-Fi and being like a comedian. And I'm like trying to keep up and like throw things out. And then it's like, I said, and then it like freezes while I'm out. And it's never like in a
One
fun...
eye.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. And the funny thing is, I think that my computer did just freeze for a second while your eye was like that. And I'm like, yes, exactly. No, but I think, I think even deeper than that, because I was thinking, oh, yeah, I hurt myself. I recorded the next day. What I hurt myself with was that I had a sizable amount of savings about 6 or 7 or 8 months ago. And I had income as well, like, like everybody else, the government income, but like enough. And now I've moved and I'm, becoming a big girl and I'm, living with strangers again, because that's what you do at 37. You move in with strangers and my savings is like gone. And I woke up in the middle of the night last night and I was like, oh my God, like, because I still have income, but I was just like, that's going to cut off really soon. Like unemployment is ending. And I was like,
the Wi-Fi is a sign of that. It's just starting to,
it's making me anxious. Cause then I'm like, well, how am I going to get a job online if the Wi-Fi isn't stable? It's like all, and so I'm just like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I was trying to do shit that like I advised you to do, where I started to feel like anxious. And then was like trying to calm myself down in my head. And then I'm like, no, Eve, it's okay. You just need to feel it, So I'm like, it's like 4 a.m. I'm trying to feel fear so I can release it, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's like dark. Your other roommates are there.
It's just like, and you tell yourself like, I will never be broke again. I've done it. I have savings. I have no more. I will never be broke. And then, but I'm like, I have a phobia of getting a bad job. And like, let me just cut to the chase. All jobs are bad jobs, except for your fucking podcast. So I'm just like, no, so I'm hiding in the podcast. I mean, after this, I have like an interview after this. I have an interview. I don't know what it's for. It's a thing I signed up for. I have no idea what I'm interviewing for. I just got a text. It said at 1:00 they'll send me a link. It's for 25 euros. I'll get paid. I'm like, I'm in. I will. I will be there. Europe. I know. They were like, do you have a PayPal account? I'm like, yes, I will be. I'm not sure what it's for. I think it's like product testing, but I'm not like, I don't know, but I have to wear something nice. So I'm like, so I'm just like,
and they're going to ask you to take it off. That's what's going to happen.
If I'm lucky. I mean, I'm just like, just give me the money. I mean, I could use that money. I need to buy baskets for the kitchen. It's like, like I just don't know what I'm fucking doing. So yeah, this was
the pitch for our Patreon that we're going to be starting.
Seriously, because I have like 30 tabs open for Craigslist, and it's like, I mean, just all this weird shit where you're like, is this, like sex? I mean, what are you trying to say? I'm like, I will do foot stuff, but just pictures, not in person, but like, I just am like, I'm trying to like find, you end up on Craigslist opening every fucking thing being like, I could do that. And then it's always like a scam where they're like, send us a gift card for $50 and then we'll give you 51,
I mean, I did, I was in your position once and I did go on a foot fetish interview.
But the thing that kills me, you're younger than me. And like everybody's younger and more successful. Or then we have Ryan, who was like, we're like looking at your gorgeous, sorry, oh my God, Ryan, it's Brad.
Wow.
We built up rapport. And then I ruined it. Brad, I'm sorry.
He doesn't even look like a Ryan.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry. I you know what I feel
is
like?
Ryan the name for your debt? Is that what it is?
Okay. It's
Do
like
you
when
need
you're
half
doing
an hour to cry.
it's like when you're doing crowd work and then you like say something to someone and then you're like, oh yeah, well, why don't you come up here and fight me? And then they're like, and you realize that they're in a wheelchair and you're like, oh no, that was the joke. I'm not talking down to you. I'm just treating you like a person. You know, you try to like own it. And that's how I feel about that, Brad. Yeah. And so then you have Brad. I'm sorry, but Brad and Ryan are such similar names. I'm sorry, but you
They are.
Right?
I get it.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. You're such a humble soul. But so you have Brad, and I'm looking at you and like we were talking before, and you have this like insane house behind you.
Look at the little dog in the background.
I just thought, a dog or a cat. Just being like, I'm rich too, you know, just like parades past. And then I was thinking, because I asked you how old you are, and you said you're 38. And I was like, I've got time, you know, and then I realized I turned 37 on Saturday, this coming Saturday. And I'm like, I don't have that much time to catch up. So anyway, I don't know. Everything hurt me. It's always me. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of.
And then I hurt myself by calling Brad Ryan. So
yeah, no,
I should probably go. I should probably get off the podcast.
You should. Yeah, I'll see your way out by yourself. But that leads me to ask. Aside from Eve calling you Ryan, Brad this week,
So sorry, Brad.
this week or this month or this year.
Sorry, I'm just having a breakdown. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
It's fun to watch. This week, Brad, month, year, any time of your life, who hurt you?
It actually, something really awful happened this week.
Oh no.
Like really bad.
And it wasn't Eve calling you Ryan.
Bitch, I was gonna go on for a while and then say it was her calling me Ryan.
Oh shit. Oh. Stepped on it.
No, so I like 3 days ago, I just got back from Arizona. I went and saw a couple friends who I hadn't seen in forever. And it was my first time on an airplane in, a year plus.
Oh, I was like,
not with that
it
color
was my
palette.
First time flying commercial.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I had to put my dog under. Oh my God, it was so sad. Yeah.
And I don't want to say that these people hurt me, but I was definitely hurt and it was their fault. But
okay. I love it.
I was on a middle seat between two really large, very loud, coughing people who knew each other and did not want to switch with me. They spoke over me for 4 hours, literally like speaking in front of my face and coughing at each other for 4 hours.
What?
From Phoenix to Cleveland. I literally wanted to break the window and jump out to my death. It was the worst airplane experience I've ever had in my life, and it genuinely hurt me.
And they wouldn't switch.
They wouldn't because the woman wanted to be on the aisle, of course, because she wanted to get up and move 20 times. And the husband, I don't think that the husband liked his wife or whatever they were. Mm-hmm. These were the seating assignments, and they wanted to keep them.
Wow. Wow. And it's crazy because you think of all the people who died from COVID, and you're like, why couldn't you two be?
Why wasn't it you?
It sounds like you have it with all the coughing.
Yeah, seriously. You're like, you made it to the other side.
Yeah. The guy in the window was looking out the window, coughing against the window for 4 hours.
Fogging it up.
And they were wearing masks, right? Like they had to wear
masks. They were wearing masks, yes. Because the guy kept taking his off to like talk or to his... Anytime he would talk, he was one of those guys who like, I got to pull it down to talk to you. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you wearing it for? But so...
And you were there. It's like, I got to cough in this guy's eye.
I wasn't just there. I was there. You know, like... but the flight attendant told him probably 3 or 4 times in the first 20 minutes, put your mask on. So he kept it on the rest of the time. Right. But he was coughing into his mask, and I, when you can smell someone's...
Oh, no.
All right, I'll leave it there.
Someone's mask?
No, you can smell just their face coming out of their mask. You can smell it. Like
that is so bad. Like the oil of their skin.
Yeah, it's just like middle-aged man, like face smell, but it's concentrated, and then he goes like that, and then there it's out now.
Oh my God, that is, I haven't been on an airplane this whole time. That is so.
It smells. It has to have a color, right? You know what I mean? That's how
mustard. The color is mustard.
Dark mustard.
It's like That is so horrible. And I mean, but also like, why do you not? Don't you probably usually fly first class, don't you, or business?
No, not since I divorced a rich man.
Yeah. I'm like, me too, but it wasn't in this. It was in my past life. I divorced a rich man in my last life, but I don't remember it. But I know I was married to someone rich because I feel above everybody in Coach. I'm like, I don't belong with you people. Right. So that must be a real fucking bummer.
You know what's funny? I super don't care because so when we used to travel, me and my ex-husband, he's a rich, famous person, and we used to travel a lot, and it was always business or first. And it's nice. It's nice when you're, especially like you guys know, traveling internationally, if you can lay down over an ocean, like, oh my God, there's no better way to fly. However,
happened to me one time.
Never for me. That's
like lay down over it.
No, I mean,
okay,
so imagine your terrible oceanic flights. Now imagine you could lay down flat. Oh my God, totally. Yeah. Changes the game.
Better than
however, it was comfortable for me to do that because he was a famous person, and that's you can be separate from people like you.
Why would you say that when I just sipped coffee? Like I was like,
because he knows, he sees who we are.
When you say people like you mean plebs, right? You're talking about plebs.
The poor.
I mean specifically
the
you,
poor.
Eve Ellenbogen.
By the way, I just was looking and I'm like, it literally says Brad Walsh on your video. This is why I don't have any money. This is why I don't have any money. So yeah.
Oh, so now I'm not with him and no one's looking. And no, I don't have to worry about like, I don't know. I'm a very anxious person. So like being with a famous person is not fun. Because if they're approached and you feel like you're being looked at all the time, it's just not fun. So now I travel alone and I'm not famous and he's not with me. So it's just a lot more comfortable. I would prefer not to be sat between coughing couples. But
you're such a diva. Yeah. Oh, you think you're so above it. Yeah.
Just please don't cough on me. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, were you married to a rich man? Somebody's entitled.
And your endless needs.
Yeah. And did you not have, you couldn't choose the seat, or you just didn't think to?
I did not choose my seat because when it came up like an hour or a day before, like choose your seat, it showed so many open, and I was like, oh, I won't have a problem. But that's because everyone on the plane did that, and then
and that's how you know that you have been in a position of
money,
of money. Yeah, because you just don't know what the rest of us are
like
seriously.
Ow.
You don't know what the rest of us are scrounging around for. And we're like, oh my God, I have the free opportunity to change a seat. Yeah. I never in my life have I been like, I'm sure it'll be fine. When it comes to the airline, like I am the person who like will call the company and be like, I know it says this.
I just want to be sure.
Yeah, is there a way to get me this in writing, like in someone's blood?
I need to bring a note to show the attendant.
I do not fuck with middle seats. I do not fuck. And I mean, as a Jewish person, I'm afraid of the kind of confinement of like these spaces while traveling. It must be in my DNA. I'm like, this reminds me of Germany. But now I'm being like dramatic. But I just, I've been on so many. Would you say ew? Did you hear me like
no?
He said, oh right. I thought you heard my phlegm and you were like disgusting. No, I just
poor.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my tuberculosis kicking in.
That's my money. That's where I keep it. So I don't
seriously, I keep my pennies in my esophagus so that I don't lose them.
Oh.
I literally have a bag of change like next to me that I brought with me from my. I'll like right. I'm going to show you.
I had a bag of change.
I counted it out yesterday and wrote out the amount. I was like, it's like $25.63. Like because I was like, I should know how much I have in the work. Like I have.
Are you serious?
It was because I moved and I was okay. Because I thought that I would need quarters for the laundry machine here too, but no, this building they take credit cards. Wow. Not that I have one. I have a debit card. So Brad, so,
it's
sounds like, yeah, but you know what? Because now it's fucked up in my head. I literally looked at what it said on your.
You'll have to think every time. You're gonna have to think about it now.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna listen back to this episode when things are going well and I don't want to feel good about myself. And I'm gonna be like, he was right there, he was laughing, you guys had a moment, and then you called him Ryan. Like, why? Why did you self-sabotage? Well, all right. This has been. Brad. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Well, Brad,
take pills.
Ryan. Well, I don't know if you realize this, but aside from just learning that you were once rich, even though to me you're still rich, and learning that you're not a famous person, because to me, I found out after meeting you that I think you actually are, but I don't know if you realize this. You've also been hurting people too, and I'm going to tell Eve all about what you've done. So you just sit tight while. Okay. Tell you about this motherfucker here with his books,
I'm looking forward.
His fucking book collection and his color palettes and his wood wall and his fucking carpets, which are like from the place they were hand woven, and his little dog, his cute little dog right back there.
And can I throw in this like really artistic rendering of him that's behind him? That's like a painting. That's a painting of you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And just I used to be married to a rich man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he looks like better than both of us right now. No makeup could have made us look like him today. It's very and you have hurt people. I'm hurt. My heart is beating so fast right now. It really.
I know. I think you're having like a panic attack.
I'm having a seizure. I think I'm having a seizure. Because the thing is, before I met Brad, who I've only met once in person,
Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah. I had one of he's a successful musician and music producer, and I had one of his songs on a playlist, his cover of Dreams. And it was just on a playlist of mine because I was like, this is me right now. I'm in touch with my 14-year-old self, but I'm like I'm 30 now, and it was like on this playlist. And then I think I met him, and then I realized, and then I told our mutual friend, I'm like, I have a song of his on our playlist. I was like, he's a person. Like I'm not a person. And I couldn't believe it, because then he was like, yeah, he's Brad Walsh, like our friend. We know him as Philip. I know him as Pip. He's a psychopath. So you also put up with that guy. So
I'm seeing 2 months. I'm going there for a week. Just kill me.
Where's that?
In his ranch in Texas. Pip bought.
I'll come.
He bought a ranch that has multiple bungalows, which are just like tree houses for this motherfucker to swing.
How do people have money? Yeah, where do people get money from?
I don't know. He's a crazy person. Bless him for sure. But when I met Brad, we met him. It was at this bar on 14th Street. They had come to my comedy show. There were 3 people there. They were all of them. And we went to this bar and he was just so effortlessly chic, but he had this attitude of like, he has this bullshit detector and he knows how to use it and win, and he will, but he's not going to just like go in yet. He's going to give everybody a chance. He's like, I'll give you a moment, but if you start on me, I can turn it on at any second and I will pull the fucking trigger. So,
So you're not like a bitchy gay. You're like a grounded gay. Is that kind of,
Yeah.
But he's ready. He's ready to use it.
Is that like, it's not quite homophobic, right? It sounds like, I know the culture.
Quarters, Jew.
Okay,
and
so
then you take a sip of your coffee.
Yeah, his coffee out of his like Murano glass, whatever the fuck that is. Something that costs $1,000, So he has this like commanding energy, but decides like to not be a fucking asshole about it. And clearly, well-traveled. At the time, I was about to go to London for the first time. I think he was going to Morocco for the 7th or something, the Mediterranean, and he was like, oh, maybe we'll like meet up. And I'm like, I don't know where that is on a map. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I like come to learn, we become friends on Instagram, that he's like this incredibly successful painter and artist. And he, does these paintings, but he also puts his drawings on pillows and like now masks. So he clearly knows how to market himself while also being true to his designs. Like, he's not trying to like, oh, maybe they'll like this. He's like, I like this. I'm putting it out there into the world. We'll see what's up with that.
That's the part that made me upset. Just I'm like, of all the things, I'm like, what do you believe in yourself? Is that what you're saying?
Fuck you. It's ridiculous. I from what I could see, you also like dabbled in fashion and also some, light modeling on the side. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, it's just like, I saw this photo shoot and I'm like, oh, and with this stylist, I'm like, I am the style. I'm Eve's stylist, actually. And
she is. And this is what we get.
It's not going well. Yeah, it's brown. It's just brown.
I like this shirt.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, this is my next shirt, my interview shirt.
Well, and if you scroll more, then you see like photos of him, in his cute, like colorful underpants. And then he has the body of a 24-year-old wood chopper. Like he just goes out into his forest that he owns and chops wood. He's not like some emaciated gay that's about to like float away into the ether. He like looks strong. You know what I mean? Like you want to be next to his side during a thunderstorm. It's very fucked up. So
you're like, what? It's true that you do have that about you. You do have, I'm like, it's like you don't have that.
Grounded.
You don't have you don't have like a lumberjack thing, but you just have like a shit is under control.
Yeah.
Get into the house vibe,
Yeah.
Like just,
The tornado is coming.
Yeah. Don't worry. Stay away from the books, but like get into the cellar and there's a lot of good wine down there.
Yeah. Plenty of wine and cheese. Yeah. He looks like he knows how to throw a dinner party too. Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, for sure. Yeah. And who's on your shirt, by the way? Who's that on your shirt?
Juliette Lewis. She gave me this.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, really? I'm just going to be here to remind you that you sat in the fucking middle seat. Okay. So you're not better. I mean, you are, but so much better. You're so much better. But I have one thing on you. Like, I've never sat in the middle seat. I mean, I have sat in the middle seat, but not for years,
I was forced into one recently, but that's another story. So clearly, he has an eye for design and cool shit and obviously fashion and art and everything. And what he's doing with his time is like putting that beauty out into the world, like he's taking his eye for beautiful things. And rather than just keeping it to himself, he's giving that to everyone else. He has this like subdued fearlessness that he also takes with advocating for justice, and not in that way, like, look at me, I'm advocating today, aren't I? Pat myself on the back, but like for things he cares about. And he's doing it in a remarkable and beautiful way that most people don't do. They just do it for their image. And clearly, who you are. I fucking hate you. I love your house. I want to live in it. I'll live under the rug. I'll live in the dog's bed. I'll live with the dog. So it's unbelievable. I hate this guy. Can't you tell? It's really.
So welcome to the stage, Ryan. That is like I hope that you're hard right now, Brad, because that was like one of the most like sincere, like real, like I know Katharyn, and she fucking means that.
Who are you?
Are you hard? Are you hard? We need this. Tell us you're hard. No,
I'm sure his dick is big too. I mean, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm sure it's like meaty in all the right ways. You know what I mean?
It's fun to be like women who can say this to men, because if men can't say that to women, like I'm sure your pussy lips are
it's
so
meaty and
I'm sure it's just engorged.
Yeah, seriously, I'm sure you have a huge fat vagina. It's like not only is that gross, but then you're like, well, there goes your career, and we're like, what's your dick like? Get it out. So is this you? Don't cough on us in the middle seat. So is this you? Do you agree? Are you Gandhi with like style? Is that kind of your vibe?
I disagree because I'm very humble.
That's like what I literally say to everybody too. Yeah.
I think that she got. If your goal was to present the case against the case of why I'm so great and you're so shitty, that was a wonderful presentation, and it's like not true.
Well,
I just don't believe. I mean, I just.
We don't. What do you have like a?
I feel like I know.
Well,
I know.
listen. The biggest thing was, you think that I like all my artistic output. I just do it because it's all like I don't have any skin in the game as far as like making money in marketing, and I so do. I spend so much time thinking about like who's going to want this, which sucks as an artist. to create anything, music or paint, like
or podcasts even.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you don't want to, you just want to do what you want to do, but like, no, I think constantly about who is this for? Is this a waste of my time? And that drives me crazy.
Right. Does anybody want this?
And a lot of times people don't.
Well, I mean, or they don't know about it yet, Well,
hopefully, yeah.
Did you paint that?
Meanwhile, yes, I painted that.
You painted that.
Yeah,
I realized
he painted it. I didn't even.
Wow. It's pretty great. Yeah. I wish I could fucking paint a self-portrait of myself.
I can't even fill in the watercolors. Like
that's amazing.
Wow.
Because I was
incredible.
Yeah, I saw that. I think you had that on Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that you painted it, and I was like, because I don't really love a lot of like modern art. You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, this is really good, and I didn't realize that it was you. I was thinking, to have money to commission someone to make, but no, you just make it yourself. So
yeah, I woke up at 2 a.m. one night. I just burped. Did you hear it right into the mic?
It's all right.
He was once poor. He's poor now.
Yeah. You burp too. What do you fart sometimes? Wait. Never. Yes, you woke up at 2. This is like, so you woke up at 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up at 2 a.m. This is like, okay, speaking of rich former lives, I lived in New York City, and I had a house in Connecticut. I was at my vacation house in Connecticut.
Oh my God, me too. Yeah.
But I was going through this
stealing. Awful. Sorry.
I stole the whole house in Connecticut. No,
yes.
I woke up in the middle of the night while going through my awful. It wasn't a bad divorce, and we're friends, but like it was really shitty to go through it. Obviously, and I'm going through it, not sleeping. I wake up at 2 a.m. and can't sleep, and I went downstairs into the bathroom and started taking selfies. Like I put up my phone and like trying to be sexy and just failing completely, trying to feel good about myself. But then one of those photos is that pose. And I immediately pulled out a canvas and sketched it on there and painted it over the next 24 hours. And it's my favorite painting I've ever done. Wow. And it's like this beautiful thing that came out of just like total fucking heart splitting, middle of the night, one of those awful moments. So I like that one a lot.
2 a.m. I love that you wake up at 2 a.m. and end up with this like beautiful painting. I wake up at 4 to feel poor and like nothing. But you know what I got out of it was like a fun rant at the beginning of this podcast. So, art is different for different people.
Yeah, no, mine is like I wake up with an idea and I'm like, don't write that down. You'll remember it. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what? And
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so this was, so you painted that recently? Is that?
That was 2018.
Okay. And that was when you were going through your divorce.
We actually just filed for divorce like a week ago, but that was when I was like, the split was fresh and I had moved out.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, that's hard for I guess even the rich, it's hard for you.
I know. I was like, so I guess.
But I definitely did. I was basically Miss Havisham. I was just like walking around my big empty house literally in my big flowing robe, dancing to music and thinking about my past loves and like, what art am I going to create out of this? And of course it was about myself. It was a self-portrait.
Did you have any like big jewels on your fingers, and were you drinking like?
Yes, I don't think I did at the moment, but I definitely I wear robes and have big jewels. Fuck.
Is that your vibe?
I'm proving the case against myself here.
What's that?
That I walk around my big house with robes and jewels and just do nothing. And dramatically.
I like that. I think that's admirable. I think if you have to be rich, you should do it that way.
Yeah.
If you have to suffer as a rich person. I mean, I kind of like the idea of Grey Gardens too, except it's so, with like a mansion that's like dilapidated.
But then you have to live with your mother.
And lose your hair from stress. That's what happened. I think that
he's in no danger of losing his hair. Look at that.
No, she had alopecia. Oh,
yeah, but alopecia
is triggered. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God, I mean, maybe I don't want to be in Grey Gardens. Okay, you're ruining it for me.
Eve.
But
everyone I know.
We already are.
That's true. You are Grey Gardens 2021, and I'm the guy who comes and like fixes the thing and leaves, and you're like totally in love with me, but it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's happening right now. I'm just like, I know. You think you'd be the first unavailable man I had thrown myself at? So, okay. So you two suffer sometimes. But so when did you start making music?
Oh, you know what's funny? So I went to Oberlin College, which is not far. I'm in Cleveland now.
I applied to Oberlin. I applied there. That was the one school I got rejected from, which makes me sound smarter than I am. I only applied to 4 schools. But I applied.
Were you high school class of 2001 then? If you're a year younger than me? 2002, okay.
Yeah. What do you
I was in Oberlin.
2000.
2000, yeah.
Right, okay.
I went to Oberlin and they have the Conservatory of Music, which is like a world famous music conservatory. And when I was there in 2000, that was the first year they had an electronic music major. So you could take courses in. Oh. I didn't do it. I'd never set foot in the conservatory.
Wow.
I did English literature and shit. And the moment I graduated, I just started tinkering on like my computer and making music. And then 10 years go by and I'm getting paid to do it. I started doing remixes of like pop stars. Like that's how I got a little bit of success in the beginning.
And was it just on your own volition? Like you would make it and just put it up somewhere? And where were you putting it up?
I had a website. But then like, Perez Hilton, the blogger, he found something of mine and posted it. He was like, I like this. And he posted it. And then, oh my God, in 2005, when I moved to New York, I just forgot about this until right now. I moved to New York City. Do you remember that old party called Misshapes?
Yes.
It was like a hipster, cool, very cool party.
I could never get into
it. Yeah. So,
wow, you couldn't get in. I've never heard that about. Like,
it was just like
Katharyn
a small party. It was a really small thing with a huge line down the block always. And I moved to New York with my friend from Oberlin. And our first weekend there, Perez Hilton said, let's go to this party. And I was like, okay. I didn't know anything about anything. He took us, we passed the line, we go inside and we're dancing upstairs. And the song starts to play. And I'm like, I'm drunk. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this song. It was my song. And I went up to the DJ who was, who's now a friend of mine, but at the time I didn't know I didn't know anything about these people. And I said, that's me. And he's like, and I was like, no, like that song, it's me singing. And he's like, are you Brad Walsh? And I said, yeah. And then I became friends with them. And then I could always go to the party and always skip the line. And
wow,
it was just like my first weekend in New York, this happened.
Oh my God.
All right. But like,
I mean, just to know, I think my first week in New York, I barfed on the street in broad daylight. That happened, like getting stuff from the Container Store I couldn't afford. And our mutual friend that we talked about, his first day in New York, he threw a punch at a party at one of my friends when he was wasted, so he missed, like when we were trying to get him to leave the house. He also careened into her backyard, scaled the fence, ran on top of cars. This is in the middle of November with a t-shirt on, returned an hour later with blood and snot all over his face, and ended up throwing up into a pillow when we got home that I had to then throw off the roof of the house. I had to apologize to everyone that he met that night because he got so drunk. So just to give you the sort of juxtaposition of the two York experiences.
Didn't he throw himself through a wall of yours or something?
Oh, I'm sure. The amount of stuff this motherfucker and I have been through is like, it's amazing. Both of us are alive, really. And
I think that when he was telling me about you, when we were going to see your show that night, he was like, I was like, how do you know her? And he's like, oh, well, I used to live next door and I went
in the
through the wall.
In the apartment we lived together. We lived in one room. So just
what? In one room?
Yeah, in a studio. He slept on the couch and then we got like bunk beds and he used to bring his ladder up at night as if I was going to climb into bed with him. He's gay. Like,
that is so him.
He's bring the ladder up.
Yeah, he'd bring the ladder up and then in the morning, instead of putting the ladder down, he'd just throw himself over the bed and land on my bed at the foot, waking me up, screaming and he'd look at me and like rub his eyes and be like, what you thinking about? And I'm like, get away from me.
And how old were you?
We were like 18. We were 18.
Okay, so he was like your roommate kind of in college, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But it's just, but no, we weren't at Misshapes. We were in line. I had my fake ID taken from me at Marquee, trying to get into Marquee. Yeah, sad. So just to give you an idea, like totally different experiences. But it's amazing that, you just sort of like, we all like as artists, I think, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But then you did that and ended up, oh, here's my career now. It's amazing.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like nobody has a story of like my first week in New York, I went to a club and they were playing my music. And,
I know.
And it was like, you know what I mean? Like the club that everybody's like down the block and that you just got in anyway. Like I remember, so I'm from this area, but I was living in Korea for most of my 20s. And then I moved to Australia when I turned like 31 or something. No, 33. I don't remember how old I was, 31. But like my experience in New York is like every time I come back, I start with nothing. So like I've been doing stand-up for years and now I'm like back at open mics in New York City and people are like, you're pretty good. I'm like, thank you. I've been doing this 8 years, and they've been doing it for like, they were like, I was really,
8 minutes.
Somebody told me like I was really, on a roll before COVID, but they just started like a month before. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking hear it from you. So we have like totally opposite experiences, but most people come to New York and they're like, my first week I was mugged. And then and then we had like rats and then my landlord, was like nobody's like, yeah, I just turned up and the city embraced me. Like the whole thing about New York is that New York hates everyone who lives here and tries to get us out. It like throws roaches, it throws water bugs, crime, guns, like all this stuff. And we're like, I just love it and I'm staying. But it was like, you're meant to be here. You belong.
I really had like the Lindsay Lohan experience. It was such a...
I think probably better than Lindsay Lohan because she doesn't seem like she's had a great experience. When that Lindsay Lohan,
I bet he knows her. I bet he's met her.
I don't know her, but she wouldn't remember me. She smells like burnt rubber.
But isn't that like a smell of too? But that's like, isn't that? Oh, it's probably like her hair stuff, isn't it? Like, why would she smell like burnt rubber?
I've been around her twice and spoke like enough that like I smelled her, and 2 different times years apart she smelled like burnt rubber.
Wow,
that's so weird. I wonder if it's like she's
through it.
Yeah, if she's like straightening her hair too long. Like, do you know what I mean? Your hair's what could make a human being? Because burnt rubber is a bad smell.
It is a bad smell. Almost like, like when you're in school and they're redoing the roof and it smells like hot tar. It was kind of like that.
Wow.
It was kind of like that.
Doing that's like I was on the subway yesterday. This is what you're missing in New York, by the way. Yesterday was the second time I was on the subway with someone who was smoking either crack or heroin while sleeping. He would wake up, he would light the pipe, he would go back to sleep, and then the ashes would fall to the ground. And he was like sprawled out on the bench. So anyway, I think our experiences. That's what Katharyn said because he was sleeping. But I'm like, what is it? Because that was the second time in like a couple months. What's going on that people are smoking heroin in the subways? And how do I get my hands on some of this? Because they look so chill. They're not worried about rent or debt.
You have all that change to burn. So
can you imagine I go around, hey, throw me a pipe and I'll give you the whole bag. That's like, wow. And so how long did you live in New York?
15 years.
Wow.
And me too.
I just moved.
Wow.
Right when I got here. That's I don't even get
just to give this more context, if you live there, I also lived there 15 years, which means we moved there at the same time. So meanwhile, I'm just like, pissing in alleys on my Saturday night with a 40 in my hands. You're like starting to like own New York City.
Totally.
Because I just left too, and for different reasons, right? So then I guess like when you're making music, when did you start sort of, I guess, moving into like painting and just other mediums?
I had my whole life, I tried to like draw and paint, and I never once made anything that I myself liked. It was always just like, I made some garbage. Here, I'll put it away in a drawer.
Sounds like us.
And then
yeah,
I just was I had no talent for like, that medium. And then, okay, I'm going to get really real. I attempted suicide and was in a psych ward for a while.
Wow.
And the moment I got out, I was like, I'm going to try this. And I did. And the first thing I made, I'll show you. It's right here. This is the first thing I made. And I was wow. I really like it. Wow. For the first time, I really liked something that I made. And so I did another one and I did another one. And I just felt like I was finally capable. Something snapped. You know,
so is this what I need to do to really break through to my talent?
I wouldn't recommend it.
So how long ago is that? Okay. Like, how long ago was this?
That was 2018. So 3 years ago.
Yeah. So this is like around all the divorce stuff, like around that time.
Yeah. I mean, all at one time I lost my relationship, my home, my job, both homes, my job, a bunch of my best friends. I mean, I lost best friends that I brought into my relationship. You know, when you're with, so we were together 11 years. And when you're with someone, your friends and his friends it's sort of, you know, sometimes they mingle. Mm-hmm. But a lot of my friends that I brought into my relationship, when we split, they chose to completely shut me out because they wanted, you know, he's rich and famous and has parties and fashion shows and like, that's what they wanted. So I lost like literally everything all at once, and except my dogs. And it was the worst. That's why. So that's why.
Right. Right. Cute. What a cute. No, I mean, yeah, that sounds, it's like, I mean, in a way, and you can say this now because it's been enough time, but it's like good riddance to the fucking friends who would choose the parties.
Sure. And there's a few who are trying just now to be like lightly texting, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah,
you gotta be kidding.
Yeah. Like, what do you think? I'm stupid? Like, I saw you, and I see you now, and that's interesting. And I guess the thing that I sort of find fascinating that I'm sort of relating to, and it's not in the same way, but it's like, you know, this sort of journey for me with Corona and how, you know, I know you maybe don't know, but you know, I left New York by accident, and I had to sell everything.
You got stuck.
And I got stuck, and I had to sell my apartment and trash everything really unexpectedly. And it's funny because I actually reached out to Pip because I was like, what happened to your stuff? And he was like, it's just stuff. Like, he kind of like,
I packed. Did he not tell you that I packed his apartment?
No, he did not. He pretended like he like Zen woo-woo. He's like, it's just, I'm evolving.
That bitch texted me. So he left his apartment during Corona without, he didn't intend to fully move out. He just like packed some bags and he went to Texas to stay with his mom, and he was working remotely and all that. And a couple months go by, and he texts me and he goes, hey, I have some movers coming to, he said, will you go to I lived like 10 blocks away. He said, will you go to my apartment on whatever day and meet these movers? And you don't have to pack, but just like they'll pack, but just like tell them what to do. And I was like, okay. So the night before, I went there and FaceTimed with Philip, and we put like red tape on all the stuff he wanted me to take. Hours and hours of very meticulous choosing. Okay. And
I did this with somebody, so I know. I know what this is like.
I mean, I know
it was you and somebody else, but anyway, yeah.
Then the day of the move, I'm sitting on the couch and directing and whatever, and like they're packing and they're moving stuff, and his roommate texts me, Josh texts me and goes, is he moving out? And I said, I wrote back and I was like, oh, I don't know. He just had me pack some things. And of course he was moving out and didn't tell his roommate. And the superintendent comes in while I'm sitting there in an apartment where no one who lives there is there. And the super is like, what the hell's going on here? Like, because he didn't tell the super he was leaving either, which is not cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I basically had to deal with his life for a while he was just in Texas with his mom.
Who was cradling him and he's suckling at her breast. Okay. Wow. Well, no, that's funny that you say that, because like I did a similar thing. It wasn't that meticulous. Mine was more of a frenzy, but it did take a couple hours with the person who was packing up my apartment. And then Eve here went through my entire clothing collection, which took a very long time.
It took us like several months to get it from the start to finish. And then yesterday when I moved a bag of Katharyn's stuff. I didn't tell her this. I got rid of not your stuff, don't worry, but the packing materials that your mom sent. I kept one because it was like,
did you keep the saran wrap?
I kept one.
Okay, that's fine. Just as long as you get one. Thank God. See, look at that. We were about to have a lover's quarrel. I was like, you know.
I mean, but it was like, yeah, like we it forged our friendship, I think, because yeah.
So, so you did something selfless for Pip, who was down with his mom, but it's, and I don't know what it was like for him doing it the way he did or his reasons, but mine was sort of like, it was kind of really out of my control, and it was really upsetting because I'm very attached to my things and whatever. And the reason why I'm going into this is because, like, even once we got settled here, I went through kind of my own sort of place where I, like, around Easter this year I was going to do it. I was going to kill I was like, this is it. I can't see the future for me. I can't see it beyond this. This is too much suffering. And then I kind of had to find my own way back, which, I've done through meditation and the Wim Hof breathing, all that we talked about. But what I found is sort of what I wanted to ask you about is, like, you went through that kind of harrowing experience where, I guess then you kind of grew as a person and you came out of it, and then you could paint. Right. And you liked what you did. And I do feel like what's happened for me is, like, I'm more clear now, where I'm, like, writing differently. I'm even seeing things differently, like, creatively. It's coming out in a new way that I never understood. So in some ways, like, I'm finding this, like, really horrible experience has led to this, like, rebirth that's really, possibly wonderful. And it seems like that might have happened for you as well.
It did. And of course, we're not saying try this.
Yeah,
right.
No.
But for sure, like,
I like the disclaimer. We're not saying, suicide will really up your art level, or art game. It's like, no. But
but yeah, for sure, like it. I think what it is. It's just like, because it's such it's like the most intimate human moment you could possibly have with yourself. It's probably so hard to come out of that without changing. I don't know how, I'm trying to, like, not advocate for suicide.
Yeah.
But I came out of my whole experience, and my brain was just like, oh my God, you don't give a shit about this shit that you used to care about, because because something else was just like, that's meaningless. And so you can do something else now.
I I'm not as cool as you guys. I've never attempted or actually even planned. Sorry, I feel like a little bit lame at this party. No, I mean, when I was younger, I had a lot of depression and stuff, and I did feel suicidally depressed, but I didn't, I just.
My mom died. I'm telling you.
My mom died when I was 7, so I'm sorry to brag.
It's a running.
I'm still.
She wins.
Yeah. Katharyn's dad left, but my mom died. You know what I mean? It's like. But I've thought about it, and I don't really talk about it with that many people. Not my mom. My mom, I tell everybody, even the guy smoking heroin on the subway. I'm like, my mother died, so I've been where you are, But I don't talk to people about kind of how I see when I get really depressed, or when I feel like really stuck. I kind of feel like, because I think people will misinterpret it, but I do feel like you are always choosing to be here. And I've had friends who committed suicide, and I don't know. I think it's not like, so opt out. It's not that, but it's like, it's not just a default that you're alive. It's like, it's a choice. And so it's like, so what do you really want to do with this experience? That's how I kind of see it. Cause it's like, you don't really have to be here, and you are here. And that's kind of amazing, because you got to get up every day and you got to figure out how you're going to fucking eat, or whatever. So it's like, I don't know, like, what do you want to make of your experience? Because there's only, as far as we know, one. I feel very, I hate being as genuine as I'm being right now, but it's also like, that's like, because I'm looking at Katharyn, and she's like, we compete about who's the most woo woo, and it's always me.
I'm not in this competition. It's her. She wins.
Seriously, I have my little candle. I have my angel cards are like in the thing, but I guess it's like, that's how I kind of I think since I was 21, and that was when I decided, felt like I wanted to die, and then I got out of that. So that's how I've stayed away from those thoughts. It's like, well, you don't have to be here. You are here. It's a choice. So, like, you don't have to feel so stuck. It's like, what do you want? I don't know if that even, that makes
even short of suicide or anything like that, just even going through just some crazy shit, something that really just breaks your heart, something that when you're at a really, really low point, for me anyway, I've been like, okay, well, so this is something I'm like, this is a dead end. And what am I going to do to totally change shit? And I did that several times. And like now I live in Ohio now. And the reason I live here is because I grew up here. I don't love it. I really don't. It's not like, my homeland. But when I was leaving New York and Connecticut, I was looking at houses. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I looked all over the US. And I only limited it to the US because it was like high COVID and I couldn't even leave the country.
High COVID.
High COVID.
COVID.
But I looked everywhere.
Peak COVID. Yeah. Sorry.
It was last fall.
Yeah.
And I looked everywhere and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave New York. I'm going to go. I got an Airbnb in downtown Cleveland for a month with a couple friends of mine from New York. And I was like, I'm going to sit there for like a couple months and really look around the country and all these. And I almost bought this fucking castle outside Seattle to turn into like a bed and breakfast.
Wow.
And
it's funny, I was going to do the same. Yeah.
And I'm sitting in Cleveland and I'm seeing my family regularly for the first time in 15 years. Yeah. And my brother just had a baby and it's like, and I love his new wife. It's just like family, right? And I got sentimental and I started looking at houses around here, which is like, when I started looking at houses, I was like, no Ohio, no Florida, because fuck Florida, and no Arizona. Yeah. And I fucking bought a house in Ohio. My best friends moved to Arizona and now I'm like going there. It's like,
and your vacation home's going to be in Florida.
I was going to say, just stay away from Florida.
I decided this house, I love my house. It's a big, nice, beautiful house, but it's cheap as fuck because it's outside Cleveland, Ohio. But now I have money to travel. I'm going back to Morocco in September.
Wow.
Number 8. Well, I just went to Cleveland for the first time. My cousin and I took a cross-country road trip during high COVID to go see a family member in LA or some family. And we drove back and went through Cleveland. And it was really just like, we didn't go because we were like, I want to go to Cleveland. We just ended up going. And that's where the Christmas Story house is right in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fucking liked Cleveland. I was like, this is cool. Like, it just was like.
There's some cool stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like, we also like, I was trying to get like a salad from something,
impossible.
Well, it was just like we found one place and I was going to pick it up and then we had to keep driving around in a fucking square and it was like, there was that part of it. But it was like we went and got coffee in the morning at like an old warehouse. There was a coffee place and there were a few places around there. It's probably the place that you've, but I guess
I bet that you got your salad. Are you talking like the Maine where there's like statues and shit?
Yeah, and then there's it's like a salad place in the middle of like, it's not like a park, but it's like.
Yeah, you want to know something funny about that place?
What's it called?
Begins with a B. I forget. We shouldn't say it because I'm about to tell you a bad story. I broke a tooth. I ate a cookie and fully a tooth fell out of my head.
Salad and a tooth.
I love you got a cookie at the salad place and you're like, fuck your salads. And, it was like the only decent food I had in that part of the country. I need to be able to go back there next time. But yeah, I'm glad it wasn't like you broke your tooth on a rock in the cookie. It was.
Wow.
I broke my tooth on a rock that was in a cookie.
Are you serious?
And I'm 100% serious. My tooth
Cleveland
crumbled inside my mouth.
Song.
I swallowed it.
Did you pull the rock out?
No, I swallowed
he replaced
everything.
his tooth.
I would be going through my poop just so I could sue the fuck out of that little salad hut. I'd be like, I'm going to get my... Yeah.
I did the whole thing. They paid for all.
Oh, wow.
We're good.
They paid you off with the money for my salad because I'll tell you it was expensive. But driving cross country was interesting because you kind of see, and I think this is like maybe what you're saying. It's like you could kind of live anywhere as long as you don't need, as long as you're like your job is location independent. Like for me for stand up, I felt like what's the fuck? I'm not going to live in Des Moines, But it's like I can see how if I had a job that was just online or if I could make music and then go travel, it's like there's a lot of cool shit going on. Like Denver's cool. I was like, Denver's really cool.
Denver's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? Because I saw on your Instagram, so and I don't know if you know this about me, if we touched on this, but like when I was 15, I ran away from home and I got sent to one of those therapeutic boarding schools, right? And wilderness centers. One that Paris Hilton just had a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to one of those. So, and
wow.
the one that really did the most damage was in Rimrock, Arizona, which is right outside Sedona, where I saw you just were. And they have that.
I was in Rimrock. I went on a hike and went in
okay.
I was there.
And did you think about Katharyn? Were you like, I feel sad for Katharyn?
No, because he didn't know. He didn't know.
No, I know.
But like when I left that, never hilarious. Thank you. And I'm like, well, don't worry. I'm thinking about me enough for everybody. So don't worry. Back to me.
She doesn't catch the joke at all. She's like, no, he didn't know my story. I'm like, okay, so still Katharyn.
but when I left there and when I was sitting in Sedona having dinner, when I got the night my family took me out of this place, I remember looking around and it's supposed, it's so beautiful, but I was like, I will never come back here. It hurts me to be and look at and think of this place. But I saw your photos and I liked them because I just want you to know, seeing them from your eyes at least gave me this like new moment with it. Right. I was like, it was not. I mean, I know you didn't like mean to do. You weren't posting just for me. We weren't doing that thing where like, oh, I hope she sees this. But like,
well, you don't know. Yeah, but
it was nice. I was like seeing this through the eyes of somebody who I know, like I love what your interior is so much. And I want to talk about that next really quick. Like just, I see what you do. I see how you see things. I admire it. And I think it's so great. And I get excited seeing your posts about interiors. I love that shit so much. I'm like, ooh, I need all of that, and like,
and in that voice.
Yeah, exactly. So when I saw this place that I hate, that I like wish would burn, like through your eyes, I was like, well, maybe I hate it a little less, because I like your other stuff so much. So it was just interesting to me to have that kind of pop up over the weekend.
You would never go back there though?
Maybe I would. You know what I mean? That was the thing. I saw you post it and I was like, maybe it doesn't have to just live in this place of pain for me or like, the abuse that me and many other people face there. That's still going on there, to be honest.
It's still open.
That's open under a new name. Yeah. And it's in Rimrock and it's, and like, at the height of like summer, you can hear the cicadas, the locusts or whatever, making their sound. Like, it's like a very scary place. And it's in this old plantation home, like deep on the past these golf courses down this trail, like really fucked up. So it's still there. So it's like, but could I now? I'm like, oh, maybe I could, you know what I mean? You gave it a new kind of like thing for me to think about it in a way, so it's like, I thought I never would, but who knows? I mean, you see it's like burning down on the news tomorrow.
Where's Katharyn?
Yeah.
It's funny too that Katharyn's talked about how gross the sound of cicadas are, and all. Like the funny thing is for me, like I grew up next to the woods, like in the suburbs of the city, but like next to a forest, and I'm like, oh, summer, like it makes me feel so like relaxed and at home, and for her it's like torture and like abuse and like
psychological trauma.
Oh, whatever, you just need to get over it, Katharyn. But the thing that I think is kind of amazing, Brad, like I just checked again. I was like, I'm double checking
Brad Ryan.
And I know your name, but it's just like, I'm not doing that shit again. But it's funny because it's like you talk about like coming to New York and somebody's just playing your song and it was like so great. And then I was married to this like rich person and like, we only flew first class or whatever. And so it's like very easy, to write an angry monologue toward you and like how successful you are and all this stuff. But then, there's the other part of it. And I always, obviously the whole reason that we do this is because we know that people have multitudes. And we just we like refuse to see it most of the time. We're like, no, it is easier for you. But the truth is, it's obviously not. I mean, I've never attempted suicide. I've just really romanticized it when I was in a fight with my family, but like, yeah, it just sounds like kind of despite everything in some ways like seeming really perfect, it sounds like you actually might have depth, I'm willing to say it.
How did
what I'll say is so I grew up pretty poor and so I know the difference. I know if you grow up with money, you'd have no perception of the value of anything, of money, of objects, of any of help. You have no perception of any of that. And I grew up with nothing and gradually had more. And I don't think I'm rich, but to other people, I really don't. This is, but rich people never think they're rich. So it's like, am I crazy? I'm the only one who thinks I'm not crazy. But I will say the whole money can't buy happiness thing, completely false. Of course it can, in the sense of, when you're a billionaire and you can buy it, like, here's my gold toilet. Like, okay, well, that's not going to make you happy. But if you have nothing and you're worried constantly about how the fuck am I going to pay rent, or my mother's house is going like foreclosing, and like, when you have enough money you never have to worry about what you're going to eat. You never have to worry about where you're going to live. You don't have to worry about, my brother and his baby. Like if something goes wrong, like we don't have to worry because it's safe. It's just safety. So, and safety to me is happiness.
Right. Some stability.
Yeah. So I think that's just a person who has money will never say the money doesn't buy happiness. Like, well, no, I did attempt suicide. I'm not like, happiness is a thing I have to work on every single day of my life. But money bought me out of worrying about absolutely abysmal shit.
Right.
And that's wonderful.
And you can pay for therapy, and you can have space and time. Yeah. And it's like, I think it's like you're talking about like privilege. And so it's like a balance of like, here's my privilege, and also I still have my pain. And both of those are real. Wow. Well, it's cool. I'm glad you said that, because I still feel okay to be jealous, because
actually, I just, before we ask him who he's jealous of, I do want to ask, like, when did you start doing the interior design? That seems recent. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Like, when I have money, I'm going to buy a painting, and I'm going to make you collaborate on a room with me, which will be insufferable for you. And I'll
it'll be way worse than you think it will be. I'm just telling you that now. Like, so
much. But the interiors, that's just so great. Like, that's like, if I thought to myself, like, if I can't get comedy going again, because like we just opened here in the UK today, like I really wish, even without any experience, I wish people would let me like help design their homes, like, and so, because it's like, I'm not going to go back to school for that, but I do have an eye. It's my own eye. The eye I see you have, it feels not the same, but close, right? Like you're not.
Well, we're in the same boat as far. I didn't go to design school. Yeah. I just, which is why I have to, like, I have a website so I just started like a few months ago professionally. But I've been obsessed with my own home spaces for as long as I've been an adult. Yeah. And, having been with someone who is famous, a lot of our home areas were in magazines. So I have one of those weird, I'm not trained, but like I have a really impressive roster of like in print. Like my interior design work has been in Vogue and Elle Decor and House Beautiful and all that, and the New York Times, just because like of who we were as a couple. But all the work that I would do on that, people for years were like, well, you should do this professionally. And I'm just, to be honest, I'm pretty lazy. And I just not, never,
I wouldn't call you lazy.
Have you met us? Please.
I know. I'm like, I won't show you my room. But anyway, yeah.
But so I moved here to Ohio and did my own house pretty quickly. And people who were here, like old friends or family, would come over and be like, you should do this. People would pay you around here. So I just set up a website. And as I was making the website, it's the first time I had to really compile like a history of interior design of my own work. And I was like, oh, this is kind of impressive. Like I've done some cool shit, and there's amazing photos of it because they've been professionally photographed. That's amazing. So I made this website, and it's working. So it's a new venture.
Wow.
Well, we can consult on my tiny bedroom in my apartment. And as long as you can figure it out for me with no money, I think
no, you have money. You have all that change, that Ziploc bag.
I saw all those coins.
As long as you don't mind being paid in quarters that I'll have to send to you. But the problem is that they're heavy, so I'll have to pay for it to send it to you in the quarters. and are you wanting to focus more on or equally on music or design or painting, or like what is the thing that you want to work on right now?
Interior design is just like a hobby for me, even though it's the most professional part of.
Wow.
I'm a musician. Like that's what I spend all my time thinking about.
Okay. And so this is like another creative way for you to earn some income.
I'm hopefully, I mean, I'm still building. I'm getting little things here and there, local. And ideally, what I really want for this to happen is there's a really rich section of Cleveland.
Right.
Every city has like its really rich section full of just like people who are bored and on day drugs and like, I should redo the sitting room. And I would like to be the person who does that for them out of money.
That's like my favorite future. Oh God.
I love helping rich people. I used to
I want to be the
really
rich
fulfilling.
On day drugs. I want to be the
I'll tell you what's fulfilling is getting that fucking money. That's what's fulfilling. You know, you're like, fulfill my bank account. That's what I want you to do.
So, I mean, you're clearly incredibly accomplished, and I'm really excited to see what more you do. But so I do want to ask and know, is there anything or anyone, reasonable or unreasonable, that you find yourself jealous of?
I think the only times I'm ever really jealous of someone else is like, sometimes there's a musician who's got a similar vibe to me or something like that, and they have success and I don't have that success, and I'm like, but my music is good too. You know, often it's women. Often I'll get jealous of
bitches.
Well, like the music that I make, if I was a 24-year-old really like hot girl, if I was like I'm trying to think of who I'm not talking about pop, I'm talking about like some weirdo, like Grimes, but not Grimes, just that vibe.
Yeah.
Like if I was young and like that kind of, and made the same exact music I make, I would have a huge career.
Right. Okay. God, doesn't it suck to know that?
So I think that's, but you know, since my whole life upended, I don't often fall into that anymore, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Also, maybe it's just because I'm getting older. I just don't give a shit anime about so many stupid things that it's wonderful to just stop giving a shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's you know, that does seem to be a theme, and not just like we've had some other guests, like we had Eve's cousin, and you know, who are sort of like saying like the older we get, the less fucks we're giving, and how freeing that can be to just, you know, I don't know, enjoying your life, but also in ways touching others in a positive way as well.
And I think like my cousin who Katharyn's referencing, like, you know, she's in her early 50s. She's a health coach who recently went viral on TikTok and continue. And so she's, but you know, so she has like 70 or 80,000 followers, but then she's been able to really build like a big career from that. And it's like, if you're younger, I mean, I'm trying to do TikTok, and I like made a couple of, you know, I like kind of told myself like, it's okay, like just wait until you move. But I made some stupid shit that's fun, but it's like meant for me. And you know what I mean? Like it's meant for people, but I'm having a hard time. Whereas her videos are like about supplements, and like sometimes it's like her dancing to something but she just doesn't give a shit. And then that, like, one of her videos got like 1 million views, her talking about how she changed her diet to, you know, heal her autoimmune disease. Like, and it's like, but she just doesn't give a shit anymore. And so she's just willing to do stuff, and then it makes her more successful. And I'm sitting here like, oh, but is this funny? And I don't know, you know, and then I'm like, how am I going to make money? I'll tutor online, but who will hire me? Because if you Google me, it's all just dick jokes, you know, like, so it's like, I'm envious. Fortunately, I'm getting older. So pretty soon I will too maybe have some modicum of wisdom and not giving a fuck.
Yeah, 1 year till you're 38, like Brad.
Yeah,
you can have
and
I
can own the house in Cleveland. You know,
just try and kill yourself between now and a year from now.
Yeah,
I think I could do that.
Itself out.
Yeah, I think I could put it on the calendar.
We'll make
a day of it.
Yes, exactly. Well, you know what? Well, let's do like a special we'll put it on the podcast. As like a bonus, but behind the Patreon, the paywall, because people need to pay if you're gonna have access to my suicide attempt. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna milk it. And yes, disclaimer: don't fucking kill yourself. If you're listening to this, you know that we're choose life people.
Choose life people.
But abort that baby because you really should not be a parent.
Yeah, fair. Well played. Now this is Eve's favorite part of the show, so I'm going to let her ask you. I'm going to let her ask you because she's ready to rub one out anyway. So let's go.
Well, it's funny that you said that because I have to pee so badly, but like I refuse to lose momentum on this. Yeah. So but it's like a tingly lower chakra. So I'm just going to try and use.
I got it too.
I'm going to use that energy toward this. So it's my favorite part of the show, but also Katharyn, I just want to say Katharyn loves this. She just has a hard time asking for love and affection from people. But
thank you, doctor.
So now it's your turn to tell us, because you've heard us just drool over your success. Is there anything, or not is there anything, what specifically in us, separately, by the way, are you envious or jealous of, or or just choose to, compliments basically.
Okay.
Us, yeah.
Well, Eve.
Oh my God, me first. Stop it. Okay. Yeah.
You just moved yesterday.
Yeah.
To a whole new situation, which is not ideal right now, but that it only goes up, and you're about to fucking you're starting with a blank space, which is always my dream.
Yeah.
You get to fucking decorate. You get to make your whole new. Is it a whole new life, or did you move to a new place within the city? Have you been in New York?
I'm sorry. Have I what? Say again.
Have you been in New York? Did you go from New York to New York, or?
Yes, I was subletting from a friend of a friend in an apartment that I could not afford. So I was, there's a special situation in Brooklyn Heights. And then now
she couldn't decorate it or anything. It was somebody else's. She just got to live there temporarily.
Right, exactly. Oh, okay. And now I'm in a 3-bedroom, but with 2 other people in Kensington, which is next to Prospect Park.
Oh yeah,
But it's like
I love Prospect Park. Do you go to the park?
Yeah, I've started.
Well, that's fabulous.
So basically, since I was 18, no, actually, I've never stayed in one place in my whole life, or I've never planned to stay in one place. I always was like, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go away. And then I did. And I lived in Korea, I lived in Australia, I lived in Scotland, all these places. So this is the first time in my whole life that I'm staying in one place. So I bought a new mattress for the first time. You know what I mean? So it's it is cool. I can actually.
Prospect Park.
Growth.
Yes.
Prospect Park is my favorite park in New York because it's the only park that feels like a real park.
Yeah.
When you're walking through it.
Yeah. It's really
same.
Yeah.
And do you know Greenwood Cemetery?
I live next to the cemetery. That's I'm close to the cemetery. What street are you on? I'm on Album. I'm near Church Avenue.
I used to live on 7th Avenue and 29th Street.
I lived over there too. Just
really? In Sunset.
Well, not in Sunset, but in the same area. I lived right across from the parade grounds, right across from.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in Kensington.
That's a beautiful, the whole area is gorgeous. So that's fucking fabulous. Go to the park all summer long.
My birthday is next weekend. Yes. Yeah. My birthday's next weekend. And so I'm just having my few New York based friends come meet me and celebrate me in person on a blanket.
Well, I'm hard now.
Yeah. fly in, treat yourself to a window seat, and if you really want to be supportive, I will I'm going to start sending you photos of things I see on the street that are free, and I'm going to be like, yay or nay, and
he's going to be
like,
don't pick that up, it has bed bugs.
I know, but it's so cute, it looks so cute, it looks like Target circa 2017.
Pip and I got most of our furniture, so you can't
do you know the Craigslist free section is gold?
I've been on there.
Get the app. First of all, my advice is get the app. Don't do it on the web because you'll never keep up with it. But if the app, I even in Cleveland, I have the Craigslist app and I look at the free section constantly. It updates 3-4 times a day. And I've gotten so many amazing things that people just want to get rid of.
Rad, because I know exactly the bed base I want, because I want a bed base with drawers, and I know the dresser I want. It's just like a narrow, tall IKEA dresser, and I keep seeing them, but I just started looking, so they're already gone.
Do you have furniture yet? Like no, a dresser, a bed?
I have this coffee table. I have a mattress on the floor. I have a cool rug that my cousin gave me, and I have this coffee table that will be my desk.
Well, that's good because you get to create your little space now.
Yeah, I'm so you guys are very, like I have a good eye for appreciating things. I don't have a good eye for designing things.
Well, okay, so you'll have to after this you have to send me some pictures of the room, because you got to change the color. You can't have a white room.
Really?
You can't have a white room.
I mean, look at his room. Yeah, I believe him.
That's true. I'm down.
My whole house is color.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm into that, but I'm scared. I'm like, how much is this going to cost me? But
if you do the work, it's $30. You buy a gallon of paint.
Yeah, I've done it too. You should have seen my old apartment. Don't you remember? I painted the squares. Actually, the color of his wall is very close to that. So your life is about to begin. Like a
dude, I'm like just for getting like an interior designer. I'm so glad we have this podcast. Like now I'm finally like, this is finally starting to pay off. Okay, cool. I'll send you all my stuff. I have a plant. I have one plant, a fiddly fig in the window. Katharyn messaged me like one time when she was on ketamine. She's like, "Don't overwater that plant." So like I woke up in the morning and I was like,
"It's suffering." I could feel it around.
So I know you said separate, but I'm gonna to move to Katharyn. I'm gonna say for both of you, you're both fucking hilarious, and you have a podcast that works, which a lot of people have a podcast that doesn't work.
Oh.
You know what I mean? We all have friends who they're like, listen to my podcast, and you try it and you're like, oh Jesus fucking Christ, like will you do my podcast? Why? Like no one's listening to it. No one could possibly do it, but this one is good. I like this
thanks.
one.
Thanks. We're trying to grow the listeners. That's a hard part right now, but but we do believe in it. I mean,
believe in it. And that's why I really wanted to say, I really appreciate you doing this. I know it kind of seems out of the blue, and I want you to know, like, you were asked from a very genuine place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know, like, I could imagine you probably, like you were talking about with friends earlier, you probably have people who try to glom onto you for certain reasons or whatever, for whatever, their own things. But everything I said about you, I meant, and I just really appreciate you doing this today. Like, I think really, and for being so forthcoming with your struggles and who you are. And I can't wait to see what you do with everyone's room in Ohio. It's going to be great. Is there anything you want to say? Or
wait, Brad was going to say something, I think.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, about Katharyn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, see how she hates it? She's like, I don't want you to know.
I was trying to wrap up. I really was.
So I'll say this. Our mutual friend, who we've talked about a few times, even if I had never seen you live or knew who you were at all, he's talked about you as long as I've known him, and just said how much he loves you and how much he thinks you and I would get along. And that's why he brought me to this. He's like, you guys have to meet because whatever. But like, just to have someone out there who is being like, this person is fucking wonderful. I'm not saying this to for any reason. I don't know that there's anyone running around the world being like, Brad is so awesome, you have to meet him. I don't know that for a fact, but now you know that for a fact about yourself. There's someone running around the world saying you have to meet this person.
Well, I want you to know one thing. He'll kill you for telling me that. He likes to keep a nice, but
I know.
He and I, we had this falling out when we were like moving out, like when we were young, 21, but real friends come back together in the end. You know what I mean? Like you grow and then you come back. And I want you to know he said the same thing about you. So, you know what I mean?
So there is someone in the world saying that about you.
I know. And he's going to be furious. He's going to hate all of this. I hope he hears it. But thank you. I'm really glad to have met you. Cause you know what I mean? It was such a brief moment in time, but like it was so positive, and just you coming on this is really, it means a lot. And is there anything you want to plug like before we go?
My butthole.
Yeah.
That's the best response anyone's ever given.
I think you're going to get a lot of people calling. I feel like it's going to work.
Call me.
Yeah. And, yeah. At least that's something that if nobody on the podcast does it, then you can do it for yourself. You know what I mean? You can buy a thing.
You are an independent. You don't need nobody. It's just yourself, your hand, and a good butt plug. Well, all right.
So what's your Instagram again? What is it? It's just.
I think it's just
Brad
Walsh.
Walsh.
Yeah.
Brad
Walsh. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
The original.
The original.
Is that your main place? And what about your interior design?
Oh, that's bwalshinteriors.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I should say I live in Cleveland. I'm based in Cleveland, but I get to New York. I go back and forth because it's a pretty short drive. But I have people in New York, Phoenix, and Los Angeles who can do consultations.
Oh, wow.
They're people that work with me. I do.
Right.
That they have like the questionnaire, they have the check, and they'll come and take photos. And so I've had, I can do Zoom, I can do remote meeting with anybody, but I've had people go meet with people in other cities who want, and then if I'll do a proposal based on what I've seen. And then if you want me to help out, I can do it remotely or come to your city.
Right. And we're going to prove this because you're going to become my new consultant for my room.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. Well, amazing. So, if you're listening, follow the podcast on Instagram. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Everyone's Doing Better. You can
subscribe.
Like and subscribe, rate the fucking podcast. I'm so sick of telling you this. Rate the podcast. If we're going to take this relationship to the next level, I need you to do this for me. Rate the podcast. Leave a comment too. Love to see a comment. That makes me feel on those days where I'm like, what is the purpose? I'm like, this comment, this is my reason. Yeah. So you never know which comment it will be that will save my life. And we will soon be coming out, if we haven't already by the time this is released, with our Patreon. And sure, we'll tell you more about what that will entail once we figure it out. But basically the point is follow us. We said that, but you can,
you girl, you nasty, and her at Eve Elbow.
I was going to get to that. My God, it's like she's trying to top from the bottom, but with the Patreon. With the Patreon, the main point is that you'll be you'll get bonus content, but the main point is that you'll be supporting us in making something that we believe in and that hopefully you believe in too. And if you want to know more about us, follow my friend Katharyn on Instagram at @illgirlyouNasty. It's really cool that she just lets me do this and never interjects. And you can follow me on Instagram at Eve Elbow and also on TikTok at Eve Elbow, which don't at me for not making content. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Not Ryan.
Not Ryan.
Brad Walsh. Thank you.